map to go in the wall to hurl a stick in a shinty bowl, the brick, the brack, the crack, and all. Let's call it an Irish pub. Caffrey's on, Kilkenny, a pound, the Guinness, pint, a cabbage, crap, the I don't want to be paddy trapped. We'll call it an Irish pub. While I'll be fucked to swear.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Pubcast. My name is Brendan O'Neill, and I would normally be joined by Mike Cross and Michelle Riley. But in these first few episodes, we are revisiting our previous podcast, Boardwalk Breakdown. Basically, we're shutting down the Boardwalk Breakdown podcast and moving those 13 episodes over here so we can keep them alive and well in our archives. So, the Pubcast is our new podcast where we'll talk about all kinds of stuff and not be limited to only talking about Boardwalk Empire. And it will actually begin on episode 14. So just consider these first 13 episodes as bonus content. Sláinte. Welcome to the Boardwalk Breakdown podcast featuring Michelle Riley, Mike Cross, and me, Brendan O'Neill. If you have any comments or questions, you can contact us on Twitter at Boardwalk Break. Enjoy the show. All right. Episode 2, Season 5. We are short one person. Mike is on hiatus, being replaced by Allison O'Neill, my wife.
Welcome, Allison.
Say hello.
Well, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Say hello to the 4 people listening. Episode 2. Before we get into it, let's get into the details of playing off of the last episode. I hated the last episode. Yeah. I loved this one.
Well, it's a great episode. I knew you were going to love it.
Yeah. This brought in all the characters and maybe didn't answer the questions of
No, answered almost no questions.
But
there was a lot of action.
Got the
a lot of stuff that happened.
Yeah, the other plot lines started going. I mean, we see Eli, who's a mess in Chicago.
A hot mess.
I'm curious to see what happens there, because I thought he was sort of going to fall off as a character, but he's back in it, and he's
I think
he's
proving that he's going to be pivotal to the whole series. So I have to ask this question. It may have been clear to everyone else, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Did
he escape to Chicago, or was he sent there? Does Nucky know he's there or
right.
not? No. He made, he alluded to the fact that he sees his wife occasionally. Do his kids think he's dead? What's going on there? Do you get it, or are we still wondering?
I don't think it was clear. I think he escaped. I think he's there sort of secretly.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. I mean, being effectively... Well, is he a fictional character? I don't know if Thompson has a real brother. Anyway, he's going to play a key role, obviously. But so, all right, we get Eli is in Chicago. I thought the opening was interesting because it was a whole new artsy sort of opening. It was a different feel from the previous handful of episodes. It was way different. We didn't get all of the... it
was a very dream sequency type opening that,
Which they kind of did last time with
Which they do a lot in the beginning.
Yeah, but, without getting ahead, but also it was kind of the closing at the end was kind of the same thing.
Right.
So. Yeah,
it was similar but different to the underwater 1844 Nucky, backstory. We see, and I'll go through a couple of these, and we can get into the details in a minute. We meet Lansky and see what he's doing. Torrio, he's talking to Nucky. We've got Lansky meeting with our buddy Lucky, and then we are introduced to Bugsy.
Yeah, Bugsy Siegel.
We see Eli's son. We see Capone. We get Van Alden. We get Jillian. We get all kinds of stuff. This is what I wanted from the next episode. This is where we should be. So.
And this really, we've been talking a lot about Nucky's quest for redemption, and this really set the stage for that. This character is trying desperately to go legit, and he has this great scene with the refined gentleman, about taking this business legit. And then he also, after this, has this nice soliloquy with his bodyguard that sort of lays everything out.
Right.
But yeah, it's really a Michael Corleone moment, right?
Oh, definitely.
Where he's trying to go straight. And when they revealed that it was revealed that it was Joe Kennedy, I laughed right out loud because I thought, oh God, how perfect.
Well,
and
when
then,
we were first watching it, Brendan does,
yeah.
you know, when you know who that is, and
they started talking about the Mayflower Grain Company. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I mean, I have an idea what it is, of course. And they started mentioning Dewars and Moet. I'm like, ooh, that's Kennedy. That's got to be Kennedy, right?
Right.
Joe Kennedy. That's fantastic.
And then he recognized, of course, those glasses. He always wore those glasses.
Yeah. That
actor was really, really charming, too.
I hope they'll show Kennedy's bad side, because he was kind of a
my hunch
bastard.
that's what's going to happen. I mean, they kind of teed it up that way, and I think that the group that he was meeting with, you know, it was kind of these coy questions that they were asking, and Nucky kind of calls him. He's like, "Okay, why are you pretending that this is new information or a surprise at all? What my background is or what my experience is?" And and so after the conversation, after he leaves the meeting, Joe Kennedy is kind of smirk when they were talking about it. Just made me think that there is going to be something more.
Well, yeah, I mean, Nucky wants to go legit. He was talking to the board of the grain company. Then he talks to Kennedy, sort of like whether or not he was aware of him before. He's almost, I mean, he's literally looking up to him, but he's figuratively looking up to him when he talks to his bodyguard afterwards.
Right. That was a
Nucky
great line.
wants to be Joe Kennedy.
Absolutely.
That's
I loved how he
goal.
said, I met an Irishman today who had his hands or his fingers in a dozen different pies.
Yeah.
Do you think he wades through blood to make money?
Right,
and I thought that's it. That's the whole season. That's really the whole show right there.
That's what Nucky wants. And clearly, I mean, it seems to me he'll never get it, but that's his goal forever. So backing up, I mean, that was a key point toward the beginning or middle of the episode.
Right.
We see everyone's favorite Jillian in the sanitarium.
That scene was it was terrific, the way that they started it.
They teed it up as it being like a spa. And then it's not.
Yes. And then, it was pretty startling how quickly it went crazy.
Yeah. Right.
You know, it was such an interesting switch.
Yeah.
And the warden or
whatever
whatever she was,
I thought, is bananas, right?
Yes.
So there's some nonsense going on there, and they're up to no good in that scenario.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of expecting the scene later in the show to go like kind of a really crazy way.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps it's still going to in a future episode, but I mean there's just a lot going on behind the scenes that she's probably
right.
Yeah.
So I wondered if. Why is she in the loony bin? Excuse me, the asylum, as opposed to jail? I mean, I know that's going to come out, but it'll be interesting to see how she ended up getting there. Was it a plea bargain? Did she negotiate that instead of jail?
She must have cut a deal.
What happened?
What's his face? Her former boyfriend,
right? Ron Livingston.
Ron Livingston's character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting to me, and then she's obviously negotiating something with this warden. Mm-hmm. But then why did she have the dress brought in? Is this Jillian finally losing her marbles, or is she really being strategic?
I think she had that in storage in the basement.
That was in her suitcase. It looked like it was the trunks or the suitcases of all the patients or
like
the
when you check
clients.
in,
right.
your
it's
stuff
your luggage.
goes in storage.
And so I think it was whatever she had in her suitcase, and she's using that to trade for whatever it is that she's really trying to get to this end goal.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I wasn't clear on that. Why didn't the crazy warden lady just take it, steal it?
Oh, I don't think that's what the warden wants.
Right. That's kind of where I'm headed.
I assume so, but it was. I'm surprised they stopped short of that in this episode. Stopped short of any sort of sexual component.
Oh, there will be. I mean, Jillian is so...
Have to, right?
So bananas that, there is going to be a sexual component. But obviously the warden herself is completely warped.
Yeah.
So there's obviously some satisfaction in going through this process, because otherwise she could just attack the woman. I don't think that's what she wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably some sort of seduction where she's trying to almost like bait her in to make her think that she's getting what she wants, but at some point she's going to be able to totally cut things off, and she's going to up the ante, so to speak.
Right. And Gretchen Mol, you can just feel it on her face. Like, she sees how... I mean, you can just feel it. She really does an incredible job of sort of just showing how disturbed... You know, how disturbed she really is.
Also, toward the first half, we see Eli's son, William, interviewing for a state's attorney job, and he can't get away from his connections to his uncle.
And again, that was, I don't know who's double-crossing who on that one.
I would agree, because the conversation later, I mean, the conversation that he had with Nucky later,
right?
You know, it's kind of hard to tell, because Nucky got him out in the prior season. So, you know, which direction is he really going?
What does he know about where his father is today? You know, part of you wants to think that they're all in on it, and he is being very strategic about getting this job. But then the other part of it is, you know, this kid has always been a wild card.
Of course, but he has to be a plant by Nucky, because otherwise that kid can get a job at any other firm. But he went to the state's attorney, who could have influence and power that Nucky can use later on.
Right. Well, so that was my assumption.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a part of his plot to actually try to go legit by having him in. Yeah.
Or protecting him in the event that he needs that protection. Yeah.
We also see, so we see Lansky, and we see Lucky, and we see Bugsy Siegel.
Right.
Bugsy Siegel, he's known famously being sort of a hothead, flamboyant guy.
Yeah.
They're playing him very young in this.
I thought so too.
I thought it was interesting. He plays way younger than Lansky and Lucky.
He does. He plays younger than them, and also, of course, our frame of reference for Bugsy Malone is born Beatty, and so, you don't really have that.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
And that actor is so familiar to me.
I know.
He's always in these gangster movies. I don't know his name. He's great. But it was just sort of like, wait, do we already know this guy? Is he already... So I did find that a little confusing. He's in The Sopranos, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to place him on the spectrum of the Italian gangsters. Yeah, or I'll include Lansky in that because he's involved in that team. But Lansky's sort of cool and calculated, kind of trying to be the Rothstein, but he's obviously not quite there. Lucky's sort of in the middle, but still a little hot-headed. Capone's far right. He's a maniac. This Bugsy seems closer to Capone than anything else. He's a nutball. I mean, he seems sort of, you say the wrong thing and he's on top of you. I thought that was unusual. I didn't expect that one. I thought they'd play him a little more together.
Well, I mean, it's obvious they want Nucky out.
Yeah.
And they're taking steps to make that happen.
Yeah.
You know, obviously right before that we saw, help me with the Don of Dons.
Maranzano.
Maranzano. And obviously Lucky let him and Nucky know that they weren't with Meyer, and then obviously that was a lie too. So very interesting how this whole organization believes that Nucky's obviously a major threat to what they're trying to do and stands in their way.
Yeah, although it doesn't seem that they're camouflaging it very well.
No.
Like, Nucky's all over him. He knows what's going on over there. Yeah. He seems to, at least.
But do you think part of this is, do they see him as a threat because of his ability to possibly influence or take over when things go legit, when Prohibition ends?
I don't think these guys care that much. Do you? I mean, I think Nucky's thinking about what happens when Prohibition ends. I don't think Lucky Luciano is. He's just
They don't go that far. They see him messing with their money.
Their business.
Whatever.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I mean,
because that's the business. That's the money.
Right. I mean, he's standing in their way of getting control of the Atlantic City area.
Although Lansky was in Cuba But it doesn't seem like that crew has an idea that Prohibition is ending soon and they got to get their ducks in a row at all.
Right, no. And Cuba was the, Miami
It was.
of the dime.
It was.
It was where everyone would go.
But he was there because of Nucky. But I wonder if anything would have rubbed off, or he was there for a different reason, or obviously the Nucky thing.
Yeah, I think it was quite common.
All right, we do get a little bit of a I hate to go. This is my last episode dilemma. We get a flashback into Nucky's sister's death and that whole scene. She died of tuberculosis or some sort of respiratory issue, I think. And then his father can't pay for the proper funeral because he drank the money away or something. And then the Commodore gets involved. He wants to pay his respects, and only when his second in command tells him that, give this kid a break, give this Nucky kid a break.
You are so sad for Nucky.
I know.
I couldn't remember from the prior episode, but the $50 that he got from the Commodore,
he didn't get it.
He didn't get it? I thought that
he turned it in.
But I thought he got something at the end. I mean, I remember that, but then I thought it somehow came back.
Yeah, they were going to...
Oh, that's right. I'm on it. Yeah.
They were about to give it to him, but like this Commodore's number 2 was kind of trying to hint
but he got
to
the
give it to
job.
him.
He got the job, so to speak.
He got screwed first, and he got blown off, and then he said, "Come back," and then start sweeping the sand off the porch.
Right,
but it was Commodore's. Nice guys do not finish first.
Right.
Lesson that he was imparting upon.
You don't get a reward for bringing this back.
Right.
Your reward is working.
Right.
Those type of things.
So there's also another implication with that storyline that maybe there is a deeper relationship between Ethan, I think is the dad's name.
Yeah.
And the Commodore.
Right.
So they obviously have some history that we haven't quite figured out what it is yet.
Yeah, I mean he's a fisherman or a docksman, some sort of a...
But they could have, who knows how far back it is.
Right.
Maybe it has something to do with the mother. I don't know.
Right.
Well, they referenced some sort of land deal, and I don't know if that goes back to if that was in the very first season or not. It was?
The first
No,
this
is the first we've really heard about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's going to come out. It's got to be soon because they only have 6 more episodes to wrap this thing up. So they've got to figure this out. So that's interesting. I want to move forward. I don't want to go backward in this series. It loses me a little bit when it talks about the ancient history, but I get it. It's building to something.
I like it a little bit when they do that because it gives a little bit more depth to the Nucky Thompson trying to go legit. Like there is something about his innate, being as a child that he was really trying to be honest and do the right thing, but it was all these other people that were coaching him to, as you said, nice guys don't finish first, they finish last, so to sort of lesson, but...
I agree. My argument was most of this stuff, maybe not the details like that, but most of the stuff you kind of knew or you were inferred here and there about it. And if they were going to do this, I wish it would have happened 2 seasons ago. There's too much to wrap up in this season.
All right, you've got to get over it.
All right, move on.
You've got to get over it. It's a device, and you, of all people, as the writer in this group, should understand that it is a literary device.
I'm impatient with this thing. So, okay, now we get to a character and a subject near and dear to our hearts, being in Chicago, Capone.
Crazy town.
Yes.
We see Capone.
Wow.
7 years. Torrio has all but retired. I think he has retired.
He's really pathetic too, isn't he? He's just so over.
And you can see him being old and
great actor, that guy.
Yeah. And Capone is at his height. He's at the zenith of his powers, or just about. This scene where he's getting his suit tailored, and he's got 25 Goombas around him, just at his beck and call, doing whatever. It's amazing. It's fantastic.
And he's so ADD, right? He just he can't concentrate, and he's just randomly bombarded by every little thing.
Yeah.
And distracted into different things. I didn't know this, but I learned later that interview that he was giving was quite famous.
It was a real one. Yeah, I just read
Variety
about it a couple days ago.
magazine.
Yeah, the Variety interview. So, yeah, Capone is ready to pop at any moment, and I thought that was fantastic. I want more of Capone. But as part of that, we are reintroduced to Van Alden,
right? And
my favorite creepy, insane character
right now,
and Eli. Apparently, Eli's working for Van Alden,
right?
And Van Alden's part of Capone's crew,
right?
Crazy town.
Yeah, it is crazy town.
That's crazy town.
And just the amount of excess when you see that scene that we were talking about with the interview and the Taylor going on. There's so many people. Yeah. There's a pile of cash. It's clearly like a hotel.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's a Palmer House, right? Isn't that where he was?
Yeah, I think so.
Known to hang out.
I don't think he's in Cicero yet, so it's got to be downtown somewhere. All right, so
I'm not sure if you're going to get there, but please tell me we're going to talk about the elevator scene at some point.
That was a beautifully executed scene.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's, that's where you really learn the hierarchy,
right.
How far Eli has fallen, so to speak, in terms of his rank within the business or the industry of bootlegging, that he is down below the ranks, and his bender or whatever it was that he was on that at the beginning of the episode, and the bus that goes on when frankly it sounds like he was supposed to be the one on watch, cost what, $20,000 and at that time is you know.
But it was also a nice moment of levity in a very heavy show.
I agree.
Well, it had two great
ladies.
things.
The ladies with the feathers.
Nothing, maybe nothing in the show is as great on screen as Michael Shannon as Van Alden, just being frustrated and annoyed and just, he can't ever do what he wants, and he gets pissed off, and he plays it so well.
Yeah,
and that's perfect in this scene.
And it starts, so he's mad at Eli, and he's getting chewed out in the elevator, and they reference his giant head, and then I looked at him like, oh my god, his head really is
gigantic.
Like how he can wear a hat, I don't know, but. And so,
Size
this is
9.5.
happening, and he's like yelling at Eli basically once he gets yelled at. You cost us $20,000, and because you work for me, I'm on the line. And then these two women come in and ask them to say hello to their dog. I mean, it's just the most ridiculous.
Right. And then they're constantly taking the hats
turning
off and
around.
putting the hats back on, and then the ladies' hats
kept turning around. It was great.
And
I loved it.
This is the scene where you see, I mean, like you mentioned, Eli is the underling. And is that because he escaped and he's just an alcoholic mess? Is that part of the plan where he's supposed to sort of play possum and get in there and see what happens? So that's confusing.
That's a mystery that we're gonna find out about. Before we leave Chicago, it's great to see that Elliot Ness has made it to town.
I was gonna say, I was waiting for him to come in.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize the actor.
Didn't either, no. It was not Kevin Costner.
That's what I was waiting for.
Side note, do you know the movie I cried the hardest in my life in a movie? I was in the theater.
Don't say it was Untouchables.
It was Untouchables.
Come on.
I don't know why, but when Sean Connery is shot and he's just like sliding through the apartment.
Yeah.
I was like in the theater doing one of these. Like the gasping for air, sobbing.
No.
I'll never forget how
he pulls a knife, you pull a gun.
That's right.
He sends one of yours to the hospital, sends one of yours to the morgue.
That's right.
It's Chicago way.
I was bawling.
Wow.
I was not expecting that.
Back to Elliot. So that's going to be...
That's hilarious.
What?
I said I was not expecting that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elliot Ness is going to be the new guy, obviously, in Capone's business. I wonder how...
Where do we leave it with... So the feds have just totally dismissed the Atlantic City stuff after...
I think so. I think... I don't know.
The end of season 4.
Yeah.
Got a little bloody there.
Nucky made a deal with the woman...
That's right.
FBI agent And then, honestly, I can't remember the detail. But
we got to move on.
He's out of it.
Yeah.
It's we're back to the heart of Prohibition, and now we have Elliot Ness to contend with. So,
Right.
Do you think there's any? This may be real conspiracy theory and less historically accurate, but do you think there's any connection then with Nucky's son going into the state's attorney's office and
Elliot Ness.
and Eli then being in Chicago, kind of working for, in the bottom ranks of Capone's organization? Is that a way to potentially dismantle? In Nucky's mind, a way to dismantle or kind of reduce that.
Dismantle Capone's.
Yeah.
At the same time, getting favor for Will and keeping the heat off of him. I mean, that would be a brilliant twist.
Right.
All that plus Nucky trying to get the Volstead Act repealed. I mean, he's playing every angle to get this thing to happen. So, that makes sense, of course.
That's probably the most, the brightest insight we've had on this podcast to date, Allison. Thank you very much.
I feel like I should be leaving on a high note almost because...
Well, you own it. You own that one.
All right, so let's put that one down in the books.
Exactly.
We'll see how this plays out at the end
words.
All right. More flashbacks to the Commodore. My notes here, all I wrote was Commodore ... major asshole. So that's my take on the Commodore.
Well, the Commodore is a major
asshole. But he ups his own ante every time, and
he really. When you think he can't get worse, he gets worse every time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Put the money on the coffin type.
Yeah. And then of course Nucky's dad proves to be slimier and slimier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was heart-wrenching. At the end of that scene,
that child was so earnest and sweet. Actor. Yeah.
All right, we talked about Maranzano.
I mean, is it almost like the bearing of the innocent, so to speak? Like, I mean, I'm just wondering what's going to happen in these future flashbacks after that. Does that kind of break the spirit? Does that, what does that really do to him, and how quickly does he really start to turn in terms of his own ethics? Or, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out over the next couple episodes.
I mean, one of the things we've talked about on previous episodes is thematically, clearly this is a person that wanted to do the right thing, and for whatever reason, circumstance, opportunity, forced him into a situation that he's not proud of, but he's also not afraid of, and certainly doesn't shy away from. Right. And he continues to indulge his deeper...
No, I'm with you.
His deeper tendencies, but he's still harboring this fantasy, which is probably quite likely a fantasy of going straight, going legit. And, there's a redemption theme going on here. And obviously, the more they show the child, the more as a viewer we're invested in that redemption.
So do you think he'll say they keep pulling me back in before the end of the series?
He's said that in so many ways, so many times. But yes, we say it on the show every time.
Every now and then I like to go on a tangent where I just make maybe obvious but ridiculous analogies to pull it somewhere else so we can look at it.
Really shiners.
Yeah, I used Will and Grace last time. Yeah, fantastic.
Very nice.
Never has that been done
I think
in connection with Boardwalk.
That's a high bar to reach. So this one is obvious, though nerdy.
It's all nerdy, B.
Oh, it's all nerdy. But this will kick up the nerdy quotient a little bit. So I was thinking the Commodore, the sort of emperor-like figure, is like the emperor in Star Wars.
Holy cow. Dear Lord.
Darth Vader is Nucky.
Yeah.
He gets corrupted and becomes this bad guy. He wants to be good, but he's the bad guy.
Yes.
And that's almost where it stops right there.
No, but listen, Star Wars in and of itself is a classic good versus evil redemption story, and really...
The difference is Vader became, or nearly became, came out of the badness to be good or try to be good at the very end. I think Nucky at the end will fall short and embrace the badness.
Right. And we never seen Vader drink silently while facing Amanda.
What do you think is going through his big black suit? That helmet is a glorified sort of... Exactly. He's got whiskey in one side and water in the other.
Amen, brother.
All right. So, back to Eli and Van Alden, the most inept duo of
It's fantastic.
Capone,
I actually
Bagman.
do. I love that dynamic.
They're-
The seething frustration.
They're Laurel and
It is
Hardy.
Body
Seething is the
language
right
is
word.
fantastic.
And they're
It's
both like that,
fantastic.
yeah.
They're these tough guys who can't do anything.
I mean, even the way Van Alden was irritated with his wife and crushed out her cigarette, and then she just lit another one.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Yep.
See ya.
Yep. Okay, so they got to make up this $20,000 and give
Right.
it back to Capone and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I found this a little confusing.
I know.
Maybe you should straighten this out for us.
I can't promise that. But, so they go and they found their mark. They're going to target one of Capone's other bagmen.
Right.
For some reason. This is the dumbest thing I can imagine
Yeah, it
you would
didn't
do.
seem to be adding up.
So they go and they try to steal this money. They're kind of getting away from it, or getting away with it. And then with these two little random henchmen, and then the higher up bagman, I don't know the character's name, but the big fat guy. We've seen him in other episodes before. He comes out, sort of confuses them, squashes the plan. They got to figure out what to do, and they end up shooting all three guys. Right.
Right.
It's a mess. They shoot him in the legs. They're about to walk away. Then they hear him screaming and whatever. And then I think it was Van Alden comes back and caps both of them in the head. What the hell are they thinking with this? They owe Capone $20,000 because they lost it. They go and steal effectively $20,000 from another one of Capone's guys. They give it to Capone, but then this other guy's missing $20,000. Like that doesn't that hole is still there.
But is the
That's
idea
a convenient
that,
number
that
again.
So
now somebody else owes it?
Well, but does it imply though that Capone may not know that those guys collected dough?
Okay. Yes. So I think. Sorry. I think the key is maybe they're not that dumb, and they know that Capone is so out of it and doesn't know the details. But still.
And maybe
it's
this
ridiculous.
opens their eyes to a way that they can scam even more.
Yeah. Maybe this is the opening.
But Capone is so outer limits, and there is so much money pouring in
Right.
that I don't think he knows what the heck.
Capone doesn't know, but wouldn't you think one of his accountants knows? Like, someone's keeping track of this somewhere,
Well,
right?
I mean, they were showing the one guy in
Right.
there who was just, it
That's
looked
true.
like
They
he
were
was
just
just
messing
buried,
with
you know,
him.
and they were
That's
messing
true.
with him. They didn't really respect him. But there was just so much coming in so fast.
Yeah.
It was almost like implying that there is no way to really track
Right.
how much is actually coming in.
Yeah.
And so I think it creates the opportunity for, you know, things to be siphoned off or to go missing
Right.
without anybody really knowing it. I mean, there's chaos all around.
Right.
There's 20, as you said, 25 guys in this room. Capone's got no
Yeah.
pants on. You know, I mean, it's just...
I
it's
really
just
like
crazy.
his brother too. I don't know if that's a real character.
Yeah. That guy's
I
awesome.
like him. I like the actor, and I like the way he kind of works with Al.
He's believable as
He is believable. Yeah,
Capone's brother.
he is. He's great. Yeah.
All right. Chronologically, just to go through it, we see Nucky and his bodyguard talking. He talks about effectively wanting to be Joe Kennedy.
Right.
I love the bodyguard.
Yes.
Very sort of underplayed performance, but I like that guy sort of. He's just like the angel of death. I mean, he's just like
Yeah,
he's just there.
and he's clearly another device because how else would Nucky get to talk to himself for that period
Yeah,
of time?
right.
But he is a clever one. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Just real cool. Just, you know, it's kind of whatever. You know, whatever.
And he also sort of implies that he doesn't really understand English anyways.
Yeah.
No, yes, but I would assume it'll come out that he's just playing that up, and he
Of
knows.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. He's listening the entire
Yeah,
time.
All
that's
Spanish-speaking
well,
people
yeah,
do.
but it's the ear collection. So the whole he's listening to everything.
Will
Yeah.
he take someone else's ear in Atlantic City? He's got to, right? I want more ears.
Okay.
All right. Lucky, Meyer, Lucky, Lansky, and Bugsy. Not only are they working against Nucky, I'm going to get Lucky and Nucky confused. Last podcast, I did this twice, and I called Lucky Chalky, like twice. So they're working against Nucky, but they're also working against Maranzano behind his back. Like they're
right.
They're on their own. They're a rogue little organization against everybody.
Right.
Nucky and Eli's son have lunch. I thought that was interesting when they were talking about. Yeah, with the whole. Did you use my name? You know, you
how
got.
Did they bring up the family? Kind of. Yeah.
Very Godfather.
Yeah.
We meet Elliot Ness. Fantastic.
But I think just to go back to that scene, though, I think that scene, you hear the earnestness in Will's response to whoever it was that he was interviewing with, but then that luncheon brings the doubt back in of really how much can this family actually get away from what's going on. The reputation will always proceed. There's always this expectation. There's always going to be question. But
he was extremely respectful to Nucky. So when Nucky asked, did this trip you up at all? Of course not. I would be proud of. Yeah. So I really have to wonder which end he's playing here.
Yeah.
Because it seems like he's playing both ends, and I want to know where we stand on that one. So that'll be interesting.
But that's the point. I mean, it starts to raise. It's just.
Right.
Where is this going?
Definitely don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely keeping us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to tell.
All right. Now, Nucky hears from Tonino, who was Jip's former guy, who ended up being the guy, I believe. He was the one who stabbed Jip.
Yes, he was.
Jip.
Yeah,
whatever. Jip in the episode, or the season 3. So then he leaves Jip and goes with, I think, Mazaria.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was Mazaria that they were under in the first place.
Right, and then he ends up with Lucky and Lansky's crew. So he'll just go with anybody. He has no loyalty, no affiliations. He's just a guy looking not to get whacked.
Yeah, I mean, he looks scared constantly. Yeah.
So
he goes to see Nucky to try to get some cover.
Nucky, and completely rolls over on Lansky and Lucky and Bugsy. Again, just looking for the next guy to buddy up to so he doesn't get killed.
Right.
Lucky listens to him, talks about Tonino talks about how Lucky and his crew are going to take out Maranzano, and that they're also trying to, obviously they were behind the assassination attempt on Nucky.
Right.
We got Nucky and Lucky here. He's against both of them, essentially. Mm-hmm. Which is insanity. This guy is just the worst of the worst. No backbone whatsoever. And they also explained one thing that was interesting. He told Nucky that, and there's no reason to doubt this guy at this point, he's just spilling his guts with everything. Right. That Maranzano, the boss of bosses, has no issue with Nucky. He's fine with Nucky doing his thing. He's trying to do his own deal in New York.
Yeah, that seemed apparent.
Yeah. Which is interesting because these guys were always against each other. And Nucky's a threat to everybody else, but apparently not to this guy. It's interesting. And then at the end, or toward the end of the conversation, Nucky gives the nod to his awesome bodyguard, the Angel of Death, and the guy's taken out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Not really surprising, but it was sort of classic Nucky. And then we notice that they were sitting underneath the picture or caricature of
Billy, his former girlfriend.
The dancer,
the showgirl that he really seemed to love.
Which made us and everyone, I'm sure, think, this Tonino guy was the guy behind the bombing that killed Billy.
And this was some sort of payback for that.
Right.
Moment.
Right.
I'm taking care of all family business today.
Right. It shows a lot of patience on Nucky's part and perseverance, I suppose.
Which shows that he can never go clean. He's always settling debts. He's always He's got that memory, and he holds a grudge, and he's not
going to let anybody.
He can't let go of it. Yeah. What else we got here? Jillian and the sanitarium director. We talked about that. Creepy as hell. That's our winner for creepiest of the week.
I would agree. So who do you think she's writing to? I mean, why get the paper?
I don't know. I don't know if she's finally lost her own.
Who would help her? The only thing is Nucky, right? She's the only connection, or maybe Lucky Luciano, because they had a thing early on. Assuming she's reaching out for help,
right?
I think it's got to be Nucky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got to. I mean, Jillian strikes me as no matter how bad this predicament and how much she was caught off guard with the situation, she's definitely got some aces buried somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She just needs to go find them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the episode ends on seeing the final result of the obvious killing of Tonino by Nucky's bodyguard, thrown on the steps of Lansky's, I guess, Lucky's too, headquarters, basically. Sending a message like, I know you're involved.
Right.
Here's your guy. Can't take
Here's
me.
Here's a postcard.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. I can't wait to see how
Luca Brazzi sleeps with the fishes.
That's right.
Okay, so quality kill. That's the only one of the episode, really.
Well, I mean, other than the sort of heist for the $20,000 in Chicago.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Quality kill.
Some kills there.
Creepiest creep of the week.
Jillian.
That's Jillian.
Yep.
Gotta be.
And the warden.
The warden might even win.
I think the warden going through that whole speech and her questions, why are you here?
Yeah.
It was just so.
Yeah, you have to wonder what when a person chooses to do certain things to their life.
And when Dr. Cotton is happy, I mean, dear, yikes.
My favorite character this week, in many weeks when he's on, is Van Alden.
Naturally,
he's amazing. He's out of control. Although when this other guy's on, he's my favorite character, and that's Chalky. Chalky's my guy.
Oh yeah, I agree.
He's my favorite guy probably throughout the entire series. We talked about this before.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites too.
So have you been disappointed that Narcisse has not made an appearance yet officially?
So that's the major guy we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
But he was featured in the preview of the upcoming episode.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's on his way back next week, and it'll be very interesting. Michael, who is not with us today, has a particular disdain for Narcisse.
He doesn't like Narcisse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he doesn't understand why he wouldn't have just been assassinated.
Right.
He causes so many problems for so many of the characters. Michael's contention with this plot point is that I don't understand why they wouldn't just eliminate this problem. And Brandon and I both sort of conceded that did seem a little curious.
True. But
I mean, was he on the early... I mean, does this potentially create a new revenue stream in some way? The heroin dealings that he was really promoting... I think it was heroin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And, as Prohibition potentially, or is going to end, but as they're seeing this potential for it ending, keeping him around, have him almost like build that up to potentially take over.
Maybe.
Or, that they're...
But he's a rogue agent. I think he's on his own. We haven't seen him yet. I don't know.
Well, we will see him next week for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, to see what happens there. I mean, in our season 5 preview, I talked about... I kind of think it's going to be he's the rabbit out there that Chalky's chasing, and Chalky has to confront him and take him down. But who knows at this point? I mean, it's so convoluted. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. It's going to be really good this week. I can't wait to see it.
It'll be good.
Yep,
It'll be good. Hopefully next week we'll have Mike back, and that'll be...
Although, Allison, it was a pleasure having you here.
Well,
That's
thank
right.
you. I enjoyed it.
Special guest. We'll definitely have you back for the finale.
I'm excited.
Possibly before then, but the finale we're going to have a full house.
Well, and if my prediction comes true beforehand, I would like to be on there too.
Oh, you will be recognized.
Oh yeah,
We have...
we're happy.
In the immortal words of our friend Mio Santiago, Oh, it is written, so it is told.
Yeah. We make so many bad predictions. A good one we're happy to point out. All right, that wraps episode 2. Episode 3 will happen next week with hopefully Mike back, and maybe we can get a new special guest. We have one in the wings, and keep watching.
Keep listening.
Keep enjoying.
Oh my God!
All right, clink it up.
Clink. Thank you for listening to Boardwalk Breakdown, and follow us on Twitter at Boardwalk Break.